On May 19th, 1536, Anne Boleyn, the second of the 6 wives of England's King Henry VIII, is executed at the Tower of London. But who was Anne Boleyn? And why was she executed? 27 years earlier, and 7 weeks after assuming the throne, Henry had married his first wife, the Spanish-born Catherine of Aragon. Catherine was actually the widow of his older brother Arthur, who died at age 15. Arthur's death is what put the young Henry in line to be England's next king. Henry became king at the death of his father 8 years later in 1509, and then married Catherine when she was 23 and he was just 17. Over the next 24 years, however, Catherine failed to provide a male heir. Her only surviving child was a daughter, Mary, born in 1516. So, Henry began pursuing Anne Boleyn after she became Catherine's lady-in-waiting in the mid-1520s. There is some dispute over the date of Anne's birth, but she is thought to be about 10 to 15 years Henry's junior. Henry believed that Anne would be the one to produce that coveted male heir. Their courtship, which lasted several years, began clandestinely. Eventually, Henry began openly courting Anne, which, not surprisingly, angered Queen Catherine and her powerful supporters, including her nephew Charles V, who was King of Spain and also Holy Roman Emperor. Pope Clement VII was more concerned about staying in Charles V's good graces than in Henry's, so, not surprisingly, Henry's petitions to the Pope for a divorce or annulment were rejected. In 1532, Thomas Cromwell became Henry's chief minister. It was he who engineered the king's break from the Catholic Church and the establishment of the Church of England. This cleared the way for Henry's marriage to Catherine of Aragon to be annulled. Henry actually secretly married Anne in November 1532, months before the annulment was finalized. By the time she was crowned queen, Anne was already 6 months pregnant. Unfortunately for her, the child was not the hoped-for male heir, but was a daughter, Elizabeth. Anne's subsequent pregnancies ended in stillbirth or miscarriage. Henry decided it was time to move on again. He in fact had his eye on Anne's lady-in-waiting, Jane Seymour. With the tables turned, Henry had Anne investigated. She faced charges including adultery, incest, and conspiracy against the king. She was beheaded at the Tower of London less than 3 years after her coronation. Anne Boleyn, by the way, would not be the only of Henry's 6 wives to be executed, as wife number 5, Catherine Howard, faced a similar fate less than 6 years later. Anyway, Henry married Jane Seymour only 10 days after Anne's execution. Jane did finally provide Henry with that coveted male heir, but she died soon after his birth. Following Henry's death in 1547, Jane's sickly 9-year-old son Edward VI ascended to the throne, but then died at age 15. Edward was followed by Catherine of Aragon's now 37-year-old daughter Mary, whose 5-year reign earned her the moniker Bloody Mary. After Mary's death in 1558, Anne Boleyn's only surviving child became Queen Elizabeth I at age 25, and ruled England for 44 momentous and transformative years. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1749, Britain grants the Ohio Company a charter, leading to the French and Indian War 5 years later. In 1935, British World War I hero T.E. Lawrence, better known as Lawrence of Arabia, dies at age 46. In 1965, on his 20th birthday, Pete Townshend of The Who writes the hit song My Generation. In 1984, Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier lead the Edmonton Oilers to the team's first of 5 Stanley Cups. In 1997, in Hong Kong, the first person dies from the H5N1 avian flu outbreak, which lasts 8 years. In 2018, British Prince Harry and American actress and model Meghan Markle marry at Windsor Castle. In 2020, a report shows that coronavirus lockdowns have caused a 17% decrease in world carbon emissions. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. What were the Intolerable Acts, which helped push Britain's 13 North American colonies toward independence, known as in Britain? The Townshend Acts, the Acts of Settlement, the Coercive Acts, or the Acts of Union? Liked learning about the death of Anne Boleyn? Then you'll love this one about a plot to kill one of England's kings. Tap the screen to keep the story going on Today in History.